Have you ever noticed how your dog appears out of nowhere the moment you feel sad, staring, whining, or laying their head on your lap? It's not coincidence. Science is discovering that dogs don't just sense your emotions, they feel them. And what they do in response might completely change how you see your furry best friend. Stay to the end, because what happens inside your dog's brain when you're hurting is nothing short of magical. Chapter 1. The Emotional Radar. Dogs have evolved beside humans for tens of thousands of years, not merely as companions, but as emotional mirrors. Long before leashes, vaccines, or dog beds, wolves that could recognize subtle human emotions had a survival advantage. They learned when to approach, when to stay back, and when to comfort. Over generations, that sensitivity turned into the emotional radar your dog uses today. Modern research from the University of Lincoln, 2025, and Budapest's Eötvös Loránd University shows dogs can detect emotional changes using a combination of visual, auditory, and olfactory cues. They don't need words. Your heartbeat, posture, and breathing rhythm say enough. When your shoulders slump or your sighs become longer, your dog interprets it instantly. Even your scent changes when you're sad. A rise in cortisol and a dip in serotonin subtly alter body odor. In tests, dogs trained to differentiate happy sweat from sad sweat succeeded over 85% of the time. Your sadness has a chemical fingerprint, and your dog knows it like your voice. If you've ever come home after a stressful day and your dog met you at the door with a slow tail wag and soft eyes, they weren't reacting to sound. They were reading your entire emotional signal, decoding invisible data that even your closest friend might miss. Dogs, in many ways, are emotional scientists. Every look, every sniff, every paw placed gently on your knee, it's their way of saying, "I've noticed your heart changed." Chapter 2. The Secret Response. Mirror Empathy. When your dog senses you're sad, something extraordinary happens inside their brain. It activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the same area that controls empathy in humans. This is why your dog often approaches slowly, ears down, gaze soft, sometimes releasing a low whine. It's empathy in its purest biological form. Scientists call this emotional contagion, when one being unconsciously mirrors another's emotional state. Your tears, tone, and stillness shift their physiology. In some cases, their heart rate drops to match yours. When you cry, their body language mirrors submission, not because they're afraid, but because they're connecting. And when they rest their head on your chest, something amazing happens. Both your bodies release oxytocin, the same hormone released between a mother and baby. It's a neurological feedback loop of comfort. You calm them and they calm you. A 2024 Harvard Canine Lab study filmed 25 dogs reacting to crying versus humming owners. Over 80% approached the crying owner immediately, licking, pawing, or nudging, while only 20% reacted to neutral humming. That instinctive comfort response is proof of cross-species empathy. This means your dog isn't just a pet responding to tone. They're emotionally synchronizing with you. They are literally feeling what you feel. Chapter 3. The Protective Instinct. When dogs detect sadness, it doesn't only activate empathy, it triggers their protective programming. Sadness, from their perspective, can mean weakness or vulnerability within the pack, and packs, both ancient and modern, rely on strong leaders to survive. Your emotional shift tells your dog something is wrong. Suddenly, playtime becomes irrelevant. You might notice them sitting near the door, watching windows or leaning closer without noise. That's not random behavior, it's silent guarding. In ancient wolf hierarchies, if the alpha showed distress, others would tighten formation. They would block threats and maintain watch until balance returned. Your household is your pack, and when you're sad, your dog assumes its ancestral duty: protect the alpha. Some owners report their dogs sleeping beside them more closely, even refusing to leave the room. This isn't possessiveness, it's vigilance. Their body stays slightly tense, heart rate elevated, eyes flicking toward any movement. This instinct is so deep that emotional service dogs for PTSD or anxiety are trained by leveraging it. They learn to detect specific physiological cues and position themselves strategically to prevent panic or harm. But even untrained dogs often do this naturally. In those quiet moments when your dog refuses to leave your side, they're saying, "You are my world. I'll guard it until you're okay again." Chapter 4. The Comfort Rituals You Never Noticed. You've probably seen your dog do small, curious things when you're upset: yawning, licking your hand, nudging you with a toy. These aren't distractions. They're ancient rituals of emotional healing. Yawning, for instance, isn't boredom. Studies have found that contagious yawning between humans and dogs reflects emotional connection. When your dog yawns after you, it's a form of stress release. They're mirroring your tension to diffuse it. Licking, meanwhile, is an inherited grooming behavior from wolf packs. It's how pups calm the leader or show care. When your dog licks your tears, they're performing the same comforting ritual used for millennia. And that toy they bring you? That's a peace offering, an emotional bridge. In canine psychology, offering a toy transfers positive energy. It's their way of saying, "I can't fix your sadness, but here's a piece of my joy." Some dogs will even initiate playful gestures, bowing or rolling over, attempting to trigger your laughter, because laughter to them means equilibrium restored. They're not demanding attention, they're repairing the pack's energy flow. In one Canadian study, when owners faked crying, their dogs responded with gentle touches, whining, or sitting quietly beside them. Behaviors almost identical to comforting human toddlers. Dogs don't judge emotions. They balance them. Chapter 5. Can dogs detect depression? Over 67% of North American dog owners say their dogs act differently during bouts of sadness, loneliness, or grief. Science backs this. Dogs detect chemical changes in cortisol and serotonin that correspond to depressive states. Behaviorists at the University of Toronto, 2025, observed that dogs of clinically depressed owners often mirrored symptoms: sleeping more, losing appetite, showing less enthusiasm for walks. They're not catching depression, they're absorbing its rhythm. This emotional synchronization has life-saving implications. Psychiatric service dogs can alert owners to panic attacks minutes before onset, recognizing shifts in breathing, body heat, or scent. In veterans with PTSD, trained dogs have reduced anxiety levels by up to 74%. But here's what's fascinating. Even untrained family dogs perform similar acts instinctively. They follow you from room to room. They rest near your feet but maintain quiet distance. It's as if they're saying, "I know you need space, but I'm here if you need me." That kind of devotion reshapes our understanding of mental health support. Your dog doesn't offer solutions, they offer presence. And sometimes, presence heals more than words. Chapter 6. What they secretly do when you're not looking. What happens when you're sad and you think your dog isn't watching? Hidden cameras have shown remarkable moments. Dogs pacing hallways, sitting by closed doors, or lying on clothing that carries their owner's scent. One experiment recorded dogs when owners pretended to cry in another room. Within seconds, most dogs tried to push through doors or whine softly until reunited. It wasn't curiosity, it was distress empathy. When you leave the room after an emotional moment, your scent lingers in the air. Your dog processes that scent as emotional residue. They return to it repeatedly, nose twitching, sometimes sighing, as if checking whether the sadness has faded. Some dogs bring objects with your scent, shoes, sweaters or pillows, back to their resting place. This behavior mimics what wolves do when pack members disappear, collect their scent and keep it close. It's a ritual of emotional safety. Veterinarians in Vancouver have documented similar patterns: dogs sleeping by doors, waiting hours, refusing meals until their owners reappear. They don't understand sadness as humans do. They interpret it as imbalance in the bond that defines their universe. Your emotional state to your dog isn't invisible. It's a living signal that shapes how they eat, sleep and move. And when you hurt, they quietly shift their world to protect yours. Chapter 7. The lesson we can learn. So the next time your dog curls beside you during hard moments, know it's not pity. It's ancient loyalty written into their DNA. They're not trying to cheer you up for treats. They're responding to an ancestral code that says, if my human suffers, I stay close. Every paw on your knee, every sigh in your lap, every silent stare is a message. You're not alone. Our dogs teach us something powerful. Empathy isn't taught, it's shared. And perhaps in their quiet way, dogs are reminding us what unconditional love truly looks like. If this touched your heart, give your dog an extra hug today. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to celebrate the unspoken bond between humans and animals.